All right, let's jump right in. When we picture the great states of the past, a certain image probably pops into your head, right? Well, today, we're going to flip that script. We're heading to sub-Saharan Africa, way back between the 8th and 16th centuries, to find a story that's so much more diverse, so much more dynamic than most people think. It's all about getting past that single story and seeing a continent just buzzing with innovation.
So, let me ask you something straight up. Imagine it's the year 1200 AD. What does a powerful, wealthy state in Africa actually look like? I mean, where does its power come from? Its money? It's a simple question, but man, the answer really blows a lot of old, dusty assumptions out of the water.
And the answer? Well, there is no single answer. And that's the whole point. What we actually find is this incredible, rich tapestry. All these different societies figuring out how to build power and create wealth in totally unique ways. That diversity, that's the key takeaway right here.
So let's do it. We're going to uncover this continent of innovation. We'll be looking at how things like trade, religion, and politics shape these different states, and you'll see just how complex and connected the world really was back then. All right, first stop on our tour, the East African coast. We're talking about the Swahili civilization. Starting way back in the 8th century, this whole area just exploded into a bustling hub for global trade. It's a perfect first example of a totally unique way to build a state. Now, here's what's so cool about this. This Swahili civilization, it wasn't some big single empire with one ruler. Nope. Think of it more like a network, a string of powerful, independent city-states all along the coast. Each one had its own king, and they were all kind of competing but also working together through trade. So what was all the fuss about? What were they trading? Oh, just some of the most valuable stuff on the planet. We're talking gold, ivory brought in from the interior, timber, and we have to be honest, enslaved people were also part of this massive network. The important thing to remember is that these states weren't just sitting on the sidelines, they were major players in the global economy. And that gets us to their main gig, their economic role. The Swahili city-states were basically the ultimate middlemen. You had all these valuable goods deep inside Africa, and you had this massive superhighway of trade in the Indian Ocean. The Swahili, they were the hubs, the essential link connecting the two. This is such a great way to see how differently people organized themselves back then. You look at a place like Song China, and it's this super centralized, unified empire with one guy, the emperor, in charge of everything. Then you look at the Swahili coast, and it's thriving as this loose, decentralized network. Totally different ways of doing things, right? But here's the kicker. Both became incredibly wealthy from international trade. So how'd they make all this trade happen so smoothly? Well, religion played a huge part. The ruling class, the elite in the Swahili states, chose to adopt Islam. And you gotta ask, why? It was a strategic move. It plugged them right into this enormous economic and cultural world known as Dar al-Islam. Think of it like getting an all-access pass to a massive international trading club. It just made doing business with Muslim merchants from all over the world so much easier. Okay, now let's head inland a bit, because not all the action was on the coast. Take Great Zimbabwe. They built their power with this brilliant three-part strategy. Step 1, get your hands on valuable stuff like gold from the interior. Step 2, control the ports on the coast, even from a distance. And Step 3, sell all that good stuff on that same Indian Ocean market. Genius. And if you want proof of their power, just look at what they built. It's absolutely breathtaking. The huge stone structures at their capital city are the largest things built in sub-Saharan Africa since the Egyptian pyramids. And this wasn't just a place to live. This was a statement. It was a massive sign of wealth, of power, of incredible organization that screamed, "We are in charge." Now for something completely different. Let's talk about Ethiopia. You've got this whole region where Islam is spreading and becoming super influential, mostly through trade networks. And then there's Ethiopia, holding strong with its own unique and powerful Christian identity. It really stood out. And the way their rulers showed off their power and their faith, wow, just wow. They built these unbelievable churches that were literally carved down into the solid rock of the mountains. I mean, can you imagine? It was like carving their faith and their authority directly into the earth itself, a permanent, unshakable statement. But just because they were unique doesn't mean they were cut off from the world. Not at all. The Kingdom of Ethiopia was absolutely thriving. It was a centralized state, with a king and a clear social structure, and it was a major player in global trade.
acting as a bridge between the Mediterranean and the Indian Ocean. They were trading valuable stuff, with salt being one of their biggest exports. Okay, one last stop on our tour. We're heading west, over to the area that's now northern Nigeria. We're going to check out the Hausa Kingdoms. And here we find, you guessed it, yet another way of building a state, this time built around the incredible trade routes that cross the Sahara Desert.
And what's so fascinating is that we see a pattern emerging here. Just like the Swahili on the coast, the Hausa Kingdoms were a network of independent city-states built on trade. They played that exact same critical middleman role. The big difference? Their superhighway for trade wasn't the ocean, it was the desert.
I mean, this comparison makes it crystal clear, doesn't it? Look at the parallels. Totally different places, totally different trade routes, but the exact same economic strategy: be the middlemen. And they both saw the strategic advantage of adopting Islam to make trade easier with the merchants traveling those routes. It's amazing. Two completely different parts of Africa coming up with a very similar playbook for getting rich.
Okay, so we've bounced all around the continent. What's the big takeaway? It's time to pull all these threads together and really see the big picture of how power was built in sub-Saharan Africa during this amazing time in history.
And here's the bottom line. Clear patterns start to show up. Power came from controlling trade. Didn't matter if it was across an ocean or a desert. It came from having access to stuff everyone wanted, like gold and salt. Religion wasn't just about faith. It was a powerful tool for business and politics. And the way these states were set up, they were all over the map, from loose networks of cities to powerful centralized kingdoms.
So when you put it all together, what do you see? You see a continent that was anything but isolated. You've got coastal traders, powerful inland empires, bustling desert hubs. What this really shows is a continent that was sophisticated, that was innovative, and that was plugged into global networks in a huge way.
And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. We've seen all these different ways to build a powerful state, right? The coastal traders, the inland empire, the Christian kingdom, the desert hubs. So what was it that made some of these states last for the long haul, while others eventually faded away? What were the key factors for survival? That's definitely something to think about as you dig deeper into this incredible history.